Hey, just a little bit about appraisal waivers. I think this is a topic that we're just still finding a lot of people need explanation on, help with. And so the purpose in this video is to give you what I'm sharing with clients when I talk with them. And I'm happy to share any of these resource materials, these Excel files, these charts, anything that is helpful as you maybe even perfect your own presentation to your clients. But also, if you find it's better, if you want to just forward this to a client, just say, hey, this is a really good short summary about appraisal waivers and the impact, full waiver, partial waiver, whatever it is, feel free to do that. Whether I'm helping your client or not, I hope you find this helpful. Of course, we hope we can help your client. So let me just jump right into it and show you some things that I think you might find useful. So I'm gonna do a lot of screen share here. This is the presentation I use when I'm helping explain to a client. So let me get here, 1 second. Get to the right spot. I'll share my screen. There we go. Okay. So appraisal waiver, just kind of the must know of this topic, and to help win this bidding war. It's obviously super competitive out there. Well, I think we have to back up and say, what was the normal? What was it like? Because a lot of people, even if they bought homes before, they don't really think about, wait, why is this different than what I did 5 years ago or 10 years ago? Or if they're a first-time home buyer, they don't know any different. So you got to explain what it was like and what it is like now. So let's jump straight to that. So what I use a spreadsheet that I've kind of put together. Let me back this up just a little bit. That was used for where it was last time I used this with a client. How about not 4 million? How about 400,000? There we go. So normal. Let's say there's a $400,000 house. Let's say you may be trying to negotiate it back and forth, but maybe you land at 400,000. And what we're hoping for, of course, is the house will appraise for 400,000 or more. And if this client was going to do 20% down, that's $80,000. That means that we as a lender are going to finance 80%, so 320. So they would bring to closing $80,000 plus whatever closing costs that they were picking up as the buyer. That's a normal situation. Now, let's say though, in that normal situation, as long as the house appraises for the purchase price or greater, everything's happy. But what if it appraised for less? What if it appraised at 390? Okay, here's the deal. This is the very important point. For all lenders, the loan amount is going to be based on the lesser of purchase price or appraised value. Okay, so notice what just happened there. When I lowered this to 390, it didn't say $80,000 cash infusion. It now says 88,000. The loan amount went down. The cash down payment went up. Okay, well then what happens? Well, usually what happens is if that appraisal came in, you go back to the seller, the listing agent, you say, hey, we really want to buy your house. Love it, but it didn't appraise. And you try to get them you can open up for negotiations again, hoping to get them to go down to 390. Or maybe you meet in the middle or something like that. That's normal. Okay, we are not in normal. All right, so what does that mean? Let's go back here. So where are we? Well, here we are. This is kind of a slightly exaggerated chart about appreciation. We've got time on the bottom, home values at the left. Let's say that we're right here at this little green circle. Okay, well, appraisers, they don't say, okay, in 2 years, your house will be worth this. They say, hey, based on the comparable sales that I see in this area over the last 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever it is, it looks like it should appraise for about here. So appraisals are based on historic data, not future data. Well, when the home values are rising so much, they're having to look at sales that are over here, a little bit lower. Now, they'll make some adjustments. And by the way, most homes we find do appraise just fine. But that's part of what is going on here. But in this extreme situation of a lack of supply and a very high demand, there are buyers that will pay more than what the home is worth today. Now, some people hear that and they go, gosh, that's ridiculous. Why would somebody do that? I'll show you another spreadsheet that really helps explain that. It's a really helpful selling point, I find, to help people understand that, is it totally crazy? I'm not saying you're going to like it, but there is a logic behind it. Okay. And it's not as bad as people think. So let's talk about then what we're seeing people do when they make offers in today's market. Let me get to the right spreadsheet here. There we go. So let's go back to, let's say there's this $400,000 house. And let's say that, you talk about it, you go, hey, I think we got to offer 425. Okay, great. Of course, we hope it appraises at 425. If it does, all is well. If they're going to do 20% down, great. 85,000 down, we'll do the loan at 340, all is well. But here's what's going on. There are two types of waivers. There's a special document. One is a full waiver. The other is a partial waiver. A full waiver tells the seller, hey, Mr. Seller, I'll pay you $425,000 regardless of what it appraises for. There is no floor. A partial waiver, you could say, hey, Mr. Seller, I'll pay you $425,000 as long as it appraises for at least X. Okay, well, when you use the partial waiver, the offer becomes a stronger offer the lower that number goes. The lower you're willing to set the floor, the more appealing it is to the seller. Okay, so if the buyer lowers it, it's more appealing to the seller. And a full waiver, of course, is probably the most appealing. Now, some people are very fearful of a full waiver because they go, wow, there is no floor. That's scary. I get it. It is, but you got to realize the house is going to appraise for something. This is where doing a good comparative market analysis comes into play. So it will appraise for something. So it's not totally a risky situation, but every house can be different based on the comparables that are available. Well, in this current market, let's say that you'll pay $425, maybe you give a full waiver and it appraises at $410. Well, notice what happened there. Let me undo that. So look at that cash infusion. Whoop, back up. There we go. So 85,000 if it all appraises fine, 97,000 if it doesn't appraise. Why? Because the loan amount had to go down. There's a delta of 15,000. That's the difference of what it didn't appraise for, and the buyer's got to make up that difference. Now, some people see that and they go, oh boy, that's scary. Well, there's a couple of simple solutions that lenders use. We use it all the time and we explain it to clients. We could decrease the down payment. Watch this. I'm going to change it from 20% down to 15% down. Watch the cash infusion. 76,500. It's lower than what they already were anticipating. Now, some people see that and they go, ooh, wait a minute though. Then I'm going to have mortgage insurance. Yes, you would, because the loan amount is over 80%. But don't worry too much about that. There are some really simple solutions. We could look at single premium mortgage insurance. We could just accept the fact we're going to have monthly. When you do 15% down, it's the lowest cost possible because you've got so much down. And maybe in a couple of years when the house value goes up, maybe you'll be able to get the house appraised and be able to drop mortgage insurance. There's a lot of different tactics to that. Every client's situation is different, okay? Now, this is kind of some of the tricks that we do to help explain and help clients find ways to be able to make appraisal waivers and be able to still win a deal, even if they don't have $300,000 sitting in their savings account, okay? Now, here's the thing though that still at the end of the day scares people is, gosh, I'm still paying more than what the house is worth. And that just bothers me. I get it. I get it. Let me show you another spreadsheet that's really helpful to think through. And we use this appreciation calculation to help do that. Let's say that you've got a purchase price of $425 and it only appraised at $400,000. Well, the appreciation rate of the last couple of years has been very, very high. And it probably will not always be that high. In fact, I will guarantee you it's not always going to be that high. So let's say though that appreciation rate goes down. Well, we're still in a situation where the demand for homes is extremely high, especially here in Texas and in some other parts of the country. And the supply is very low. So we're probably going to still have appreciation for a good while to come. Now, will it be at the same? No, probably not. So let's just use a simple 2% appreciation. By the way, typical rate in Texas is somewhere between 2 and 4% on the long haul. That is way less than it's been the last couple of years. Notice this. If it started at 400,000, after 1 year, it'd be worth 408. 2 years, 416, 3 years, 424. And notice that at the point of the 4th year, the home value would exceed what they paid for it. Now, here's the reality though, probably it'll be a better appreciation rate than this. Let's say it's 3%, not 30, how about 3? There we go. Notice what happens. That payback time when the house exceeds the value gets faster. If it's 4%, you see where this is going. Notice how that's changing every time I'm doing that. In other words, as long as they own the home for a while, it will work out. Everything will work out. Now, if they were going to buy a home and only live there a year, maybe 2 years, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. They've got to be a lot more careful, that buyer does. But if they're probably going to be there 3 to 5 years or longer, it's probably going to be okay. It's probably going to work out. So do we love it as a buyer? No, we don't. But it is the reality of the market, and the vast majority of offers, here's what we're hearing repetitively. In the offers that we're seeing that get accepted, okay, this is the key part. The appraisals that we're hearing, and of course, we're seeing contracts come in, and what gets accepted? Number one, they have an appraisal waiver. Number two, they have a really strong offer price. That's obvious. What does that mean? Well, for a home that's super updated, it's going to be more than a house that needs a little bit of work. That's obvious. We're seeing a lot of situations still. The buyer is paying for the title policy. The buyer is paying for a survey if one is needed. The option period is very short, or in some cases non-existent. You may have heard the term that earnest money is the new option fee. What does that mean? That means that basically those people are going in with very short or no option period at all. Yes, they can still get it inspected, but they're willing to wager their full earnest money. Now, does that make sense on every home? No, it doesn't. But there are some homes you're like, it's going to work out. I can see enough. I know the age of this house. It looks like it's in good shape. Okay, so you're risking the earnest money, not just the option fee. So something to think about. Financing approval period on the third-party financing, very short. Free leasebacks. These are just some of the things we're seeing. By the way, the third-party financing addendum, that doesn't really bother us at all. We pre-approve clients anyway. So I'm not that worried about you shrinking that down. Okay. Hope this helps you a little bit, gives you some tips and tricks. Again, feel free to share this with your clients if this helps you as you're working through these tactics with them. And if I can ever help you or one of your clients or go deeper on their specific situation on these topics, let me know. Harold Smith, Legacy Mutual Mortgage. My cell is 214-724-5878. Email harold.smith@legacymutual.com. Have a great day and a great weekend. Bye-bye.